Joining us first to discuss this topic, we are joined by Roger C. Liu, who is an assistant professor of the National Sun Yat-sen University, who's joining us from Taiwan. Thank you very much, Roger, for your time today. I want to look at what we've seen in the last 24 hours with the live fire drills taking place and an increased number of military vehicles in the region. It seems that China is ramping up these drills. Is there real concern within Taiwan that this could lead to a full-scale invasion?
As a person who live here and work here, we don't feel the apparent escalation of the situation because the POA has been doing that for the past few years, and of course it's getting closer now. They are trying to get close to our contiguous zone, which is 24 nautical miles away from the land, and if you move closer, that will be the territorial sea, which is 12 nautical miles from the coastline. But the situation is that I think they're trying to practice what they have been doing by sending out a strong signal to the US that they are going to set up the bottom line before they engage into a further conversation and talks with Donald Trump. Because, of course, Donald Trump has given the olive branch to Xi Jinping, it seems. But, many people know very well that Donald Trump actually withdraw from battlefields like in Ukraine and Israel, trying to focus more of the resources the U.S. have on China because they start to view, they have been viewing China as the major threat. So before Xi Jinping and Trump can have a talk, I think this is what they're doing. That's number one. Number two, the undersea cable that have been cut is not for the first time because weeks before, the one that connects Taiwan and Matsu Island, which is the coastal islands closer to China, also has been cut or got severe because of the old age. But the situation here is that the POA and its largest coast guards of China, who with the largest size in the world, and other forces, they are trying to impose something called, everybody knows the gray zone operations. So by not only by showing their military presence, but what they are trying to do is to sabotage our critical infrastructures, so that they are practicing what they are going to do into the war, and they are trying to cause a havoc and some concerns among the Taiwanese societies. But within the Taiwanese society, actually, people are very busy doing the big political. Now we are having a constitutional and political conflict between the ruling party and the other part, the opposition party. So now the situation, of course, it's it's overloaded. So we hope that the president and the government and other allies of ours can deal with the situation in a more careful way.
Yes, Roger, staying with you, we do know that China on Wednesday have spoken about the US trying to almost take over Taiwan's semiconductor sort of sector and suggesting that Taiwan are handing it over as a souvenir, which was the word that is used. Do you think what we've seen is a reaction to that and a concern that the ties between Taiwan and the US will strengthen as a result of what Donald Trump's looking to do with the semiconductor industry?
Well, the US has been talking about have better control of the semiconductor of Taiwan for a long time. Since Biden was still in office, they have launched a series of export control mechanisms against China. Also, they asked the Taiwanese tech firms to be very careful about what they are going to export to China. So this is not a new thing, but when Donald Trump says it in public, actually that's a political move that the US tried to make. So China has to respond to that. But if you notice, the respondent actually is from the Taiwan Affairs Office, which is not considered to be a big office agencies. So the key here is to send to the signals of the Taiwan president, Lai Ching-te, that mainland China actually cares about what Taiwan has been trying to do with their semiconductors, because they know that there are some big firms in Taiwan who actually don't like this idea of being monopolized by the US. They still have a lot of business contact back in China. So I think what the PLA and the PRC is doing is to send out a signal to the Taiwanese government, asking them to be careful and respond to the US as well.
Yes, also joining us to discuss this topic is Dr. Satoru Nagao, who's a fellow at the Hudson Institute, joining us from Tokyo, Japan. Dr. Nagao, thank you very much for your time. What's the wider impact that this conflict and these tensions might have across Asia?
Yes, recently China has conducted many fire drills just side of Vietnam, just side of Taiwan, of course, and just side of Australia also. So what is the message? Indeed, when we checked China's military activities in the past, when new US presidents were in, every time China tried to provoke the US, and check the reaction of the US new administration. And such kind of the reaction decides the rule of the game between US and China. So now is the time to test the Trump administration. So China is provoking, and the US need to react, and that will decide the rule of the game. So that is the reason this is important. US should receive this message clearly and must show a strong attitude to China. That is a good answer, I believe. So US must do that.
Dr. Nagao, following on from that, we've obviously seen Trump's stance and the US's stance with Ukraine. Is there fear for the wider region that if support is pulled away from Taiwan, it could lead to an invasion and potentially then impacts wider reaching than just Taiwan?
U.S. attitude toward Ukraine is related with the U.S. policy toward Russia. And the U.S. attitude toward Taiwan is related with the U.S. policy toward China. So this is different. Current U.S. administration thinks Russia is not a priority, China is priority as a threat. So that's why the U.S. want to solve the issue in Europe and Middle East, and they want to focusing on Indo-Pacific against China. So that's why in case of the Ukraine, US want to escape. US want to solve the issue, and Europe should take charge. This is the attitude of the current administration. And instead of this, in case of Taiwan, this is completely different, because Taiwan is located where it's easy to attack the coastal city of China. So very strong card in the game between US and China. So US need this card. US will not abandon Taiwan. So this is not a case of the Afghanistan or case of the Ukraine and Europe. This US priority is Taiwan, I believe.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nagao, and also thank you to Roger C. Liu for joining us.